Welcome to the official Guns Up Nation fan page podcast, the premier voice for the fearless fans of Raiderland and proud supporter of Texas Tech University. Let's meet today's hosts.
Hey, how's it going, everybody? Welcome back into another installment of the Guns Up Nation podcast. I'm RC Maxfield alongside Tobias Bass down in H-Town. Tobias, how you doing, man?
Good, man. It's very hot. It's actually my rain today. I'm looking outside. It looks cloudy, but the last week and a half, it rained pretty much every day. So
I feel like you started the last podcast we did with this same exact sentence.
Well, this week it hasn't rained. It's just hot. Last week when we did it, it rained every day. But it might rain now.
I feel like you're a really good advertisement why not to move to Houston, personally.
We're just out here living like Larry, man. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are outside walking. I've been walking, riding my bike, things like that, just keeping myself active. But, you can't do it when it's 11 now. That the window now to like 3 is over. You can't do it between those times. I would even say like 4.
I would even say like till 6.
6 is hot, but it's like reasonably hot. And like 2, 3, heat stroke, passing out, things like that.
I'm just not going outside if I live in Houston. I would instantaneously start sweating every day of my life.
Yeah. You be in a car, AC on, it's still hot. Like it's just some things, you just can't get. It's like bills, you just can't get around them. You just have to just pay them. That's kind of what it is with Houston. You have to maneuver around it. So.
I guess, man. I'm just not. This is just an ad for me not to move to Houston with how hot it is and the humidity. Like I said last week, it's the armpit of Texas.
Yeah, no, it's smoking hot. Yeah.
But on today's show, we're going to talk about a bunch of Texas Tech news. But first, we have to bring this up, Tobias. We had 16,000 views on the podcast, and it's still going up.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah, it is ridiculous. I thank everyone that's been listening. I guess it's just weird, from what we were doing it before, then now it's like, it's not even tripled. It's not. I can't even tell you what the number is. That's fun, but it's skyrocketed, I guess is the fair way to say it.
Yeah, I don't know what the word is either. After it's past tripled and quadrupled, it becomes, a little bit of an issue for me when it comes, to that kind of stuff. But 16,000, thank y'all so much for interacting with us as well on Facebook. We'll post every podcast we have on Facebook, and you can check it out on Apple, Spotify. Be sure to go give us a 5-star review and stuff like that. But be sure to check it out on Facebook too and go interact with us. That's where we'll be doing most of the damage and be able to easy, access with us. And then you got to go check out this new merch that we got. Do you see that stuff, Tobias?
No, we have some dope merch. I'm actually going to purchase a couple of those things myself because I need more masks. But yeah, definitely go out there and check out our merch. It's awesome. Yeah,
you got the tortilla mask. You got the technically it's not the Raider Red mustache, but it looks just like it. You got the Tech Chica instead of Topa Chica mask. You got a lot of other things. LBK. Just be sure to go to the website and check it out. GunsUpNation.com. Again, that's GunsUpNation.com to check out the latest merch and the latest information on Texas Tech athletics. On today's show, though, we will be talking about Josh Young and how he has made the Rangers 60-man player pool. Eric Monroe, a transfer from LSU for football. The Jonathan Kuminga saga that's been going on. Texas Tech baseball and where they rank in Baseball America's way too early rankings. A Brooke Candace update and how she is trying to become one of the few Red Raiders in volleyball history to have a feat that, she's already got, but trying to live up to it and make another team in the Big 12. And then Texas Tech football, where they're projected in terms of scheduling in the Big 12 for 2020. But, Tobias, let's start with Josh Young. That was the big news that came out. He made the 60-man player pool for the Rangers, was actually at DH yesterday for the Rangers in an inter-squad matchup. So a little background on this for everybody. Baseball and really, I guess, every sport right now is kind of adjusting to the COVID-19 virus and how they can allocate proper player totals to, allow for if a positive test happens. And baseball has gone to a 60-man player pool. What you can do is there's still the 40-man roster. Those are the active players that can play in the big leagues. But there's also 20 other players that are kind of like your minor league system this year since minor league baseball has been canceled. Josh Young, the Rangers' top prospect, was one of those top 20 players to be added. Makes a lot of sense. The number 55 prospect in baseball, and then the number 1 prospect in the Rangers farm system. It's very unlikely that he plays in the big leagues this year, but he does have a chance, Tobias.
Yeah, I think he does, especially with people like players now. David Price, was it yesterday or today? He said he's not playing. Yeah, and I assume over the next couple of weeks, guys are probably not going to play. Mike Trout also said he's on the fence. So I think a lot of things would have to happen, but it is possible. If a couple of guys unfortunately get sick, or a guy here, a guy there doesn't want to play, he could have an opportunity. And I think Josh, if he does get that chance, he'll definitely make the best of his opportunity.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting season if it happens. I'm very skeptical on this still happening, especially with the news this morning that came out in baseball that some teams got tested on Friday and have yet to hear the results. I mean, I get it's a holiday weekend, but if you're an independent group, you have to get those tests in when it's a multi-billion-dollar business, and they probably got a good contract with you. And to play this out even further, this is not MLB that's not getting the test back. They hired an outside independent agency to do the test for them, and this independent agency is yet to give the results back to Major League Baseball, which is kind of alarming. That's pretty alarming. So another player just dropped out, Nick Markakis, an outfielder for the Braves. I expect a lot of this to continue to happen. I mean, you're seeing superstars get it already, and Freddie Freeman, the Braves first baseman, that's not a nobody in terms of baseball. That's a legit superstar, multi-time all-star type guy. It's going to be interesting. You mentioned Mike Trout. I'm very skeptical if baseball is going to happen, but as of right now on July 6th, it's scheduled to happen, but a lot can change in a month and a half.
One thing I don't understand is, so they gave them a 101-page book, right, about, the rules, right? It was 101 pages, correct?
That sounds right.
Yeah, I think it was 101 pages. It was not mentioned one time in the little book what they can and can't do outside of the field. I feel
baseball was one that kind of allowed freedom to happen. They're not living in a bubble.
I hear that, and I understand, but it's just like big picture. I think there needs to be some type. I know it's hard to put a regulation on a grown man, but for the sake of the circumstances that we're in, and wanting to play the sport this year or this season, you should put some regulations on. I don't know what those are specifically, but you need to put some type of safeguard on that.
Well, I think the safeguard is they're getting tested multiple times a week. Like, I don't think you can enter the facility unless you haven't been unless you've been tested. So there's that.
So what about those? Is it FC Dallas? Did you see that story about FC Dallas?
I did see that.
Yeah, and then you see the story about the boxer, how he tested positive before he got on the plane. He got on the plane, landed, and he tested positive for it. So he had a false negative. So it was a matter of like 10 hours, and the FC Dallas played the same thing. They got tested before they got on the bus or the plane. They got off, and like 6 of them tested positive for it. So it was like in a matter of a 10 to 12 hour period, you're having a negative test to a positive test. And now, you traveled on the plane with X amount of people. Now what happens?
Well, that's the thing. A plane is just a bona fide petri dish.
Right.
When you think about it, the air doesn't escape. It's just recycled air. But I think there's a lot of things involved in this, and things is obviously not the proper word, but there's just a lot of details, I should say, that are involved in this that haven't come out yet. And also that you hope that these major, major commissioners have thought about, Roger Goodell, or that's Adam Silver, Rob Manfred. You hope they thought about this, or at least not them, but their team has thought about this, because in the grand scheme of things, let's be honest, like, sports is important. Let's not get that twisted. It helps stimulate economies across the country and everything like that. But is it important in terms of people's health? Absolutely not. No, it's not. And that's the thing. Where is this fine line going to happen where we're trying too hard for sports to happen because the American public wants it? And where's that fine line of we're not treating these athletes like people anymore. We're treating them strictly as entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, where is that fine line? And I don't know if we've reached it yet, but I do think that day is coming where we have to ask ourselves that because, you know, a lot of these people, like you said, David Price was one of them. They're just not going to play. And this isn't just happening in baseball. I think this is going to happen in football. This is going to happen, obviously, in basketball. I think like half of the Nets team isn't going down to Orlando.
Yeah, the majority. I mean, yeah, they're signing G League guys, you know, every other day it seems like. Then, you know, Ariza dropped out recently. You know, Avery Bradley was one of the first guys that said he's not playing. You know, several guys. The Clippers backup guard, he just tested positive. Landry Shamet, he just tested positive for it as well. So guys are, you know, then the point is now if you get sick now, you're almost not gonna play.
Is Nikola Jokic in the country yet?
I haven't. Last I heard he was still in Serbia. They're not letting him come back yet.
Yeah, because he tested positive twice.
Yeah. So.
Like, I mean, not positive twice. He still had it at the same time, but the test that he took to see if he was done with it was still a positive. So, yeah, that's – I mean, if he doesn't come over and he can't play, why play if you're the Denver Nuggets? There's no point.
Exactly. That's my point. And then the other issue is I hate to, you know, be skeptical, but, you know, these are the questions that I think everyone should have. God forbid, but let's say the Bucks Eastern Conference Final, he tests positive. Well, if you're the Bucks, you know, your season's over.
Yep.
I mean, those guys aren't going to just quit, and I don't think Coach Budenholzer would tell them to do that. But it's just like it's a mental type of.
No, when you lose a top 5 player on the planet in the playoffs, yes, your chances of winning a championship if you don't have another top 25 guy go out the window.
Yeah, then you know it's hard to be optimistic when things like that happen. Exactly. I mean, you're going to play hard, but it's like realistically, you know, we're playing the Clippers. We're probably not going to beat them if Giannis isn't playing.
Yeah. No, absolutely. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting. And then Michael Cole, the owner of Guns Up Nation, he sent us something where it looks like football might not happen till the spring now for college football, which is ridiculously crazy. But on the college football note, Texas Tech, man, they're going big game hunting in the SEC when it comes to transfers, aren't they? They got Townsend, and now they got another one, and Eric Monroe, a safety from the national championship team down there in Baton Rouge. And the Tigers at LSU. He's a 6 foot 180 strong safety, originally from North Shore High School down in Houston. And while being recruited in 2016, he was ranked the #1 safety in his class. And he picked LSU over Texas A&M. I know every Red Raider will like that. The real problem with Monroe is super talented guy, right? But he played a lot as a true freshman. He really did. Then he got hurt, redshirted. And when you get hurt at LSU and you redshirt, it's hard to get back on the field with all those 5-star athletes, and that's really what happened to him.
I mean, look at this past year. Their best DB was a freshman, Stingley.
Yeah.
He'll be whenever he's eligible, which is crazy. He has at least 2 more years left. He'll probably be a top 7 pick, you know, and he's a freshman.
Absolutely.
You know, Delpit, 2nd round pick. Christian Fulton, top 2 pick. You know, they had 16 NFL players on this roster alone. I think 6 or 7 of them got drafted on defense. So just keep that, you know, in mind. But yeah, like you said, when you get hurt at the school like that, it's kind of this next guy in. You know, they have their 3rd string players a 5-star, and you just get pushed down the depth chart. So it's unfortunate for him. But one thing I want to bring up about him was 247. They have, I think, 8 or 9, you know, skills list for him. All of them except one, he had an 8 or higher. His instincts were a 10.
No, he is an intelligent player. Sorry to interrupt, but he is an intelligent guy. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, his closing speed 9, playmaking 9, tackling, ball steal, speed, and frame were an 8. The only thing that he had under an 8 was his size was a 7 because he's 180 pounds. But everything else was, you know, an 8. I think he's going to bring definitely some versatility back there, especially with him and Fry back there. I want to see, you know, that could be I think Tech's going to be a little slept on this year. We're going to talk about that later, but I think he brings some unique versatility back then, especially with, you know, like you said, big game hunts. He's played against some big-time competition. I think he's definitely going to help our back line.
No, he's a chess piece, man. He really is. You know, you think, you know, Douglas Coleman, he'll always have that memory of the Kansas game, and people will knock him forever for that, and rightfully so to some extent. But when you look at what Monroe is as a football player, he's a chess piece. He can go down. He can rush the quarterback. At 6 foot, 180. He can go back there and be a free safety type, but he can also come up and just pound a running back that does get to the second line of defense. And he can make it, you know, worth his while in terms of, holy crap, he just laid the wood on that guy, right? but also his ball instincts are just insane. You know, playing on special teams, people don't realize your ball instincts have to be pretty good. You're running full speed, and you have to figure out a way to get around a guy to the ball. You know, ball instincts, people think about, oh, it's just in the air, or, oh, you got to knock it down, stuff like that. There's numerous ways to describe ball skills, right? This guy was getting compared to, when he was getting recruited to LSU, to a Super Bowl champion that Patrick Mahomes plays with right now, the Honey Badger. He was getting compared to him. Right? That doesn't go out the window in just 4 years. So there's obviously a reason for that. And obviously, you know, when you're at LSU, as you mentioned, Tobias, their third string guy is a 5-star. You know,
Right.
if you put their 4th string guy on Texas Tech, they're probably starting.
Yeah.
You know, probably, or at least have a really good shot to do it. You know, the thing is, you know, a lot of Texas Tech fans, you know, they have, oh my goodness, they're getting another washed up 5-star. You have to remember, a backup at LSU is a starter at Texas Tech any given day of the week.
Then I'll do this. How many 5-stars do we have on the roster today?
Right now,
How many?
there's one,
Yeah.
and it's him.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, that's my point. I was like, Tech fans, we should not and cannot be in the business of we're getting a washed up 5-star. That doesn't even make sense to me when you even say that out loud personally. But we're not in the business. We're not good enough to be turning away former 5-star. We're not in that business yet. We're not good enough to do that.
Yeah. No, I think this is a testament to Coach Wells and crew. I'm not sure exactly who was the one that recruited him, and it may have been Coach Wells himself, but you go out and you get guys from Alabama, LSU. I don't give a damn if they're, you know, 3rd string guys. Nick Saban wanted them. You know, there's obviously something good about this kid. You know, obviously not every guy Nick Saban gets works out. I get that, but there's obviously talent there. There's pedigree. Pedigree can be coached in a similar situation. If you give a guy a new opportunity and you put him in a new position, sometimes it clicks. It takes guys. You hear about, you know, guys in the wide receiver range in the NFL, like Devontae Parker, right? Devontae Parker was a bust, you know, for the first 4 years of his career. And then last year, he has a breakout year for the Miami Dolphins, right? It happens. Now, I'm not saying it's common, but it does happen. And I think if you give these guys opportunities to come play and actually be in pivotal roles in big situations, most of these guys rise to the top with the talent that they have. And I think Monroe, you're telling me we're looking at the secondary right now. I know you loved your guy last year from Penn State out there at the CB position. Yeah. And then Fry is going to be on the other side of him. And now you're looking at Monroe in the back at safety. Like, I mean, you just have to find a free safety, and the free safety position, you know, for Tech has been pretty good. I mean, there's going to be a lot of guys back there that are competing for this job, but you got 3 of the 4 secondary pieces locked up, not to mention you already have a nickel guy. I mean, there's a lot of guys right now that it's really taken shape. I think, you know, we'll talk about a little later and who our favorite transfer is at Texas Tech, but there's one big position for me on the defense that stands out. And my transfer is at that position, but I really think that Monroe is a great, great add for Texas Tech because he does take that Douglas Coleman and Adrian Fry role from last year.
Yeah, I agree. Like you said, we talked about it earlier. Wells, they're going big fish hunting, and they're the reeling them in. We haven't even talked about this guy. They signed a linebacker just early in the summer from Michigan State. He transferred there as well. We have another linebacker coming from Duke.
Three-star recruit and then the Duke one was a 2-star recruit, I believe.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's going after these guys, these big, you know, Michigan State, they haven't been good the past couple of years, but it's still Michigan State football, and they are in the Big Ten. So, you know, he's bringing in these guys from these big pedigree conferences and big pedigree schools. So, but I agree. I think Monroe is definitely going to be, like you said, a chess piece back, and he's definitely going to help us. Like you said, you have 3 of the 4 positions locked up. I like my chances. And also, what is, you know, Big 12, you know, it's air raid. Everyone throws the ball pretty much for the most part. You need good DBs back there to, you know, to help you.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, and I'm not trying to put this on Monroe, you know, he starts and then we find out he's not good. He's depth.
Yeah.
You need depth, like you said, in the Big 12 because everybody's running some type of air raid, whether that's the spread or some facet of it. You have to have bodies back there.
And then look at OU. They have this other guy. You know who he is, Spencer Rattler. I think he'll be the projected starter.
Stud.
That guy, yeah, I don't want to compare him to Kyler Murray, but he's very similar.
Ahead, do
it. He's very, very similar. He looks like him. So you're going to need someone out there that's going to be able to cover him in space and put a spy on him, because if you don't, it's going to be hell to pay.
No, Spencer Rattler's sick.
No, he's insane.
He's going to be the number 1 overall pick when he gets to leave in a year. He's a true
He's very,
sophomore.
very, yeah.
Yeah. You mentioned big game hunting, though, with Coach Wells. Well, Coach Beard's doing the same thing over in Texas Tech basketball, and the biggest fish that he's trying to land is the number 1 prospect from the 2021 class, now reclassified to 2020, Jonathan Kuminga. But this last-second push that Coach Beard and crew had looks to be for naught. If you listen to Corey Evans, he's a basketball recruiting analyst expert over at Rivals.com. He gave the chances of Jonathan Kuminga playing college basketball about a 1% chance. And, we've reported a couple times, Tobias, that it was at 50% and then, a 50-50 chance. And now, obviously we're talking about kids here. They change their minds all the time. New information gets presented to them. This happens all the time. This is just the sports world we live in. But now it looks like maybe not the G League is the avenue he's going to go, but he might go to the National Basketball League down in Australia, or he might go play in Europe. And there's also been rumors that he might take his brother Joel with him.
Yeah. I mean, the NBA, you saw they did last year for Hampton. They gave him, $1 million?
It was pretty close. I think it was 750.
Yeah, they gave him a nice little bag. And I think that Kuminga, he'll get more than that. So,
Easy.
Yeah. So, I mean, like you said, they're getting new information all the time. And, it's kind of like with the NCAA. It's unfortunately, with the G League coming to fruition, the NBL, people have done this before. The NCAA, they're taking somewhat of a back seat. It's been a long process for this to happen, but, they're not paying players at the end of the day. And, some of these guys like Kuminga, they have big brands at 15. Mikey Williams, he's 15, 16. He already has 2 million followers on Instagram. He's a kid. He 3-4 years ago, hell, he was still believing in Santa Claus, and this dude has 2 million followers.
I mean, Imani Bates.
Yeah, exactly.
Committed to Michigan State. I loved how he put that on SportsCenters too, where he said, "Right now, my decision is."
Yeah.
Like, that's how you're supposed to do it. There's people out there right now where if you put Imani Bates in this draft class in 2021, he's going first overall.
Yeah, he's
16.
He's a generational type talent. And also, I think what the NCAA has to realize is this isn't 1970s, 1980s anymore. These players, they have leverage. Our generation are smarter than we've ever been. We're more creative and we have leverage now. They understand that I'm not just, athlete, I'm going to go here for 3 to 4 years and just play for you. No, I have leverage now. I'm a brand. I am a brand now. I'm very, very unique, and they're going to take advantage of that. I don't blame them for going to take the money somewhere else. Selfishly, do I want to see them play in the stage? Yes, but thinking over big picture and overall for the kid in these circumstances, go get your money, man. You only can be a pro for so long. Go get it while you're young.
That's what it comes down to. You only have a limited window as an athlete to capitalize on, monetary gain. It's kind of like an accountant, right? In the sense of an accountant can go for as long as they want till the day they die. Typically, athletes don't do that, unless you're like a golfer or something like that. Maybe you can, but if you're a professional basketball player, there's no way that you're going to be playing past, 42, 43? I mean, Vince Carter was probably the oldest you'll see for a while now. And especially with these guys becoming more and more athletic, it's going to be interesting to see how they develop their games. I think Vince Carter's kind of an anomaly, in my opinion, where, he's a freak athlete, but he adapted to the league so well.
Yeah, he adapted 3 and 4 times. And, some of these guys, like LeBron and Tom Brady, they're spending millions of dollars on their bodies a year.
Yeah.
Just to stay, healthy, take care of themselves, and those, LeBron and Brady, these are 2 of the top 10, top 5 greatest athletes we've ever seen. You know what I mean? So it's things like that are protecting. And Vince Carter, like you said, he adapted several times. He's spending a lot of money on his body.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's going to be interesting to see where Kuminga lands, but it doesn't look like it's going to be Texas Tech. But Evans did say if he was to go to college, it would be at Texas Tech. So take that for what you want, Tech fans. Probably a little bit of salt in the wound right there. Again, be sure to go get our mask on our website at gunsupnation.com. You can go there. There's tons of stuff on here. Honestly, I'm looking at it right now. These things are kind of ridiculous, Tobias. We didn't come up with it. It was Kobe and it was Michael. We can't take any credit for it, honestly. But just looking at them is super, super cool. Like the fabric type options we have, and really just everything that's available. Yeah,
I mean, I like the mask because it resembles Texas Tech culture. the tortillas, the beer, the things like that make Lubbock and Texas Tech unique.
Yeah.
Those things are on the mask. So that's what I respect about it the most.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's cool ones. Like if you want to represent Lubbock, I mean, we got LBK ones on there with a bunch of different patterns in the B. I mean, we got a Howdy one on there, Teca Chico. Then I think, honestly, looking at it, my favorite one is the emoji of a crab and then a tree. That's probably my favorite one.
Yeah.
And then if you're a big George Strait fan, there's another one where it's like straight and it's just Texas on there. I mean, we have a lot of options. Be sure to go check it out. Again, that's gunsupnation.com, and we'll be mentioning that on social media too if you go give us a follow. But we'll continue on. Texas Tech baseball got ranked second in Baseball America's recently released way too early top 25 for 2021. The Red Raiders are number one in the Big 12. The only team ahead of them in the entire country is the Florida Gators, who Texas Tech eliminated a couple years ago in the College World Series. But you look at what Texas Tech is bringing back. They obviously lost Clayton Beater, who actually signed today well above slot, over 100K above slot. So congratulations to him. Bryce Bonnin, who's already signed with the Reds, and then Klein and McMillan also signed for the $20,000 you can get as an undrafted free agent with the Nationals and the Royals respectively. But I mean, you look at what Texas Tech has right now in terms of returnees. You have Micah Dallas, who wasn't even at 100%, and Texas Tech was 18-3. You have Mason Montgomery coming back, Hunter Dobbins in the rotation most likely next year. You have Dylan Noisy, who decided to come back after not getting drafted. And then you got some young guys like Jace Young, Nate Rombach, and Cal Conley coming back. I mean, Texas Tech has already got a lot of pieces, in the foundation ready to, make that run, even if they didn't have a class coming in. But if you look at what Baseball America has in their top 500 rankings in terms of players coming in that were draft eligible or could go to college, Texas Tech has 4 arms in the top 500. And, you have Brandon Bridwell, he's 145. You have Levi Wells, 211. Chase Hampton, 271. And then you have another right-handed pitcher in Brendan Gintern. He's 382. I mean, you have a lot of freshmen coming in that could make positive impacts. And if they don't, they get a red shirt and they get to learn from some of these veterans that get to come back for another year.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we always trust Taylor to develop his talent, especially, like you said, like most of our pitchers came back. Well, a good amount of them, I would say, came back. So, learning from, like you said, they red shirt, just sitting back for a year and just learning isn't, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, I strongly recommend a red shirt. Not everyone can come play immediately, especially in the times we're in with so much depth. But coming in, learning from Queen, Dallas, coming back next year, that's why we're so good. You just have depth. It's every single year. Like when the guy leaves, they don't miss a beat because they've been prepared. They've studied, they've been redshirted. They've been, ready stepping for this moment.
Yeah, you don't rebuild when you're Texas Tech baseball. You only reload. Looking at the top 25 from Baseball America, Texas Tech comes in second. The next Big 12 team on the list is all the way down at 11, and it's the Longhorns down in Austin. The top 10 goes Florida, Texas Tech second, UCLA third, Ole Miss fourth, Virginia fifth, LSU sixth, Louisville 7, Vanderbilt 8, Florida State 9, and then Arkansas rounded out the top 10 at number 10. But cool little nugget right there. I mean, like Baseball America said, it's way too early to know what's going to happen here. But it's always fun, especially when there's no sports going on, to read these types of articles because at least it makes us feel like some type of sports is happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're definitely missing sports right now. I've been trying to, the TBT's on. I've just really been watching that every day, all day. Just to
shout out to Roberson yesterday. John Roberson.
Well.
26 points.
He's
a bucket.
He's very good. He literally controlled the whole pace of the game yesterday. They just couldn't guard him. Then you see Zach, he had the TBT still, 2 days in. This is day 3, but he had to dunk at the tournament so far with that lob. Yeah, Justin Gray's team.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I know. Yeah, I know. He had, 3 of them? Yeah, he had the one that ended. Yeah, so unfortunately, Justin Gray's team, they lost.
And so did Robert Turner's. Robert Turner got eliminated, but they were a late ad.
Yeah, they were.
They lost to CP3's team by 2 points, I believe.
Yeah. So, but the TBT's been fun, man. They have a game later on today, I think at 6 or 7, so I'll definitely be tuning in for that.
Yeah, I might have to check that out myself. Speaking of missing something, I'm going to be missing this in the fall for sure. That's going to be calling Texas Tech volleyball games. Yeah. And speaking of Texas Tech volleyball, Brooke Canis was named to the All Big 12 preseason team, the outside hitter from Canyon, actually from Canyon High School, I should say New Braunfels, Texas. The junior was named to the All Big 12 preseason team for the second year in a row. Candace has been a model of consistency as soon as she stepped foot on campus as a freshman. I mean, you listen to Coach Greystone or Coach Morgan Thomas. I mean, they love this girl. She's super athletic. I mean, got some serious bouncing, you know, a cornerstone for this Texas Tech program. And, you know, for me personally, we got to cover them a little bit more than a lot of people did, Tobias. You know, you lose arguably the greatest player in Texas Tech volleyball history in Emily Hill just due to graduation. Brooke Candace looks to be the girl that's probably going to step up in that role, at least on the outside, and try and be, you know, the lead kill artist for this team.
Yeah, I agree. I think she definitely has, like you said, the time to do it. Since her freshman year, she stepped on campus. She's just been phenomenal. What I like about her the most is she kind of kills you with kindness. You know, she's always smiling. Like, you know, I mean, we're out competing. What are you smiling for? But then you see the result, and again and again, and it's just like, I know there's the other side. I know it's probably kind of annoying because she's just smiling at you while she's destroying you.
Yeah. No, yeah. I mean, she's been absolutely lethal on the outside for Texas Tech on that right side, right-handed for Brooke Candace. I mean, you look at some of the names on there. You have Presley from Baylor, who, in my opinion, is the best player in the country. She might be just I don't know much about professional volleyball in the women's circuit, but you would have to think Ivana Presley is probably going to be top 10 as soon as she leaves Baylor. That girl's a freak. And if you're on a list with her, you know, good for you, Brooke. That's all I got to say. You know what I mean? Because when I saw Presley play last year, when number 1 Baylor came into Lubbock, it was quick 3 sets. And Presley, I'm telling you what, it damn near looked like she was going to jump over the net every time she went up for a kill. It was Michael Jordan and Space Jam type stuff from mid-court. It looked like her arms were just like go-go gadget.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, it's something when you have the basketball players, they're sitting there watching, they're like looking around like, who is this girl? You know, that type of thing. So, yeah, her athletic ability is just second to none.
Crazy tight bounce. But congratulations to Brooke Candace. That's awesome. Sophomore and junior year being named to the All Big 12 preseason team. That's a hell of an accomplishment considering the history of Texas Tech volleyball. But Coach Tony Greystone and crew, especially Coach Morgan Thomas, they have that on the upswing. You got to go check them out this year for sure. One of the more fun teams to watch on campus. Now we'll move on to Texas Tech football, as they were projected to have the weakest schedule in the Big 12. The Red Raiders are projected to have the 52nd most difficult schedule in the country. If you look at the NCAA football strength of schedule, or SOS, not a lot of love for the Red Raiders, but it's kind of interesting when you're looking at this list in terms of the Big 12, and we have it on the website, gunsupnation.com, if you want to go check out the article. You know, you would think that Texas and Oklahoma might be, you know, number 1 in terms of strength of schedule. It's not. It's Kansas and West Virginia at 18 and 21 respectively nationally.
Who is Kansas and West Virginia playing that has them so
I'm
high?
not sure. I haven't looked at Kansas's schedule, but I mean, for me, when you look at it, it was very interesting. You know, those are historically, at least Kansas, not the best football program. They obviously have had some success. West Virginia, this is supposed to be a down year for them. TCU was 3rd at number 24 in the country. Then Baylor. We have no idea what Baylor is going to be, by the way. You know, especially when you lose Matt Rule, the AKA the Vest Man. That vest, that windbreaker vest, man, it gets me every time. Shout out to my former roommate Sam, who hates that, by the way. And then Kansas State, they're right in the middle of the pack with Oklahoma. There's a 3-team run, actually, from 37 to 39. It goes K-State, Oklahoma, Texas, and then a little bit of a drop-off goes to the Cyclones at 46, Oklahoma State at 49. That's the team to watch. You know, if you're asking me right now on July 6th who I think is going to win the Big 12, I might go with Oklahoma State just because of the talent they brought back. And then Texas Tech rounds out the pack in the Big 12 at 52. But my question to you, Tobias, with this is, I don't think this is a bad thing. Do you?
No, I mean, Tech football, they're going to be slept on. I don't think it is a bad thing. I mean, you have to beat the guys on your schedule, you know. And,
exactly.
You know, so fine, you know, we'll be underrated, cool. But if, you know, we're winning majority of those games, that'll help us, you know, in the long run. I was just looking at Kansas football schedule. They played Boston College, okay. West Virginia, they played Florida State. Fine, Florida State's not that good anymore, but whatever. I guess I can see where the hype's coming from. But yeah, I think that us being accepting will help us, in the long run. It help, but then also help us get get some chemistry together. We have a bunch of new pieces coming in, people coming back. Hopefully Bowman can stay healthy. We need to make sure we get our chemistry right. So playing the easier schedule, I think that might play in our favor. And also we have a bunch of the good teams this year. It flips. OU, Texas, they come at home. So we definitely need to be prepared for that.
No, I think the biggest aspect of the schedule, other than the one that you just mentioned, in terms of, the harder teams come to Lubbock, and it's always hard to play in the 806. Everybody knows that, is Texas Tech only has one road game between September 12th and October 24th. So there's some home cooking that can happen over a month and a half right there. The only time that they leave the 806 is to go to Ames on September 26th. So this could really be a year where, Matt Wells and crew, they finally get those, guys in there. Now, the problem is, how is this pandemic going to impact that? Because you lost a lot of spring practice. You lost a lot of that chemistry building time. But, the facilities are still technically open at Texas Tech, I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, where you can go in there and do individually based stuff.
Yeah.
So that's good. But I'm curious to see. I think it's actually a positive. A lot of people look at strength of schedule, especially in basketball, and it's a big deal because of where Texas Tech is nationally. But where Texas Tech is nationally in football, 52nd isn't bad. You just need to go out there and play the teams on there, get in a good groove, and have this be a foundation season where you get confidence. And this is kind of that snowball effect moving forward for Matt Wells and crew.
I mean, I'm not going to compare Texas Tech football to Clemson, but their strength of schedule is never that good.
Yeah,
they
win also a powerhouse, but I get what you're saying.
Yeah, they win national championships. But I'm saying as far as they're not playing this outrageous, schedule.
Sure.
They're not, they don't. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not comparing the two programs. It's just that, that's not the, it's not the end all, because it's not the full story. So I agree with everything you said.
For sure. But Tobias, before we get into which transfer we are most looking forward to watching this upcoming year for Texas Tech, I want to thank today's sponsor of the podcast, H2O Floats. Red Raider Nation, it's hot out there. You have the AC cranking, especially Tobias down there in Houston, where it's the armpit of Texas. I'm telling you what, he definitely has a dripping bead of sweat coming down his brow every time he steps foot out there. So there's no doubt, right, Tobias? It's summertime.
Summertime, you definitely need to go out and get you a float. It's I wish we had a pool. We have a bunch of grass in the backyard. We don't have a pool, but if I had one.
Grass. What kind of Texan are you? Unbelievable right there. Unbelievable. But the one thing we all want right now is to get away, cool off in our backyard, unless you're Tobias, because he has grass back there, and be at a relaxing lake or river. As long as they're open. I know that Texas has got some restrictions on the rivers right now and the lakes, but socially distanced, of course. H2O Floats created your favorite college mascot as a pool float to help bring the fan experience to the water. So you can, float on Raider Red in your backyard, and you can look at your, backyard neighbor, Jim, and just be like, yeah, bro, we went to Tech. We have Patrick Mahomes. Where did you go to school? Oh, A&M. Okay, yeah, you can get out of here now, dude. Whatever. Who'd you have? Johnny Manziel's playing golf now. Anyway, that includes our very own mascot, Raider Red. Now you don't have to wait until football season to show off in your backyard and your school spirit. Get your Raider Red pool float today at h2ofloats.com. That's h2ofloats.com, and tell them Guns Up Nation sent you.
Who wants to live away from you can have a float? That doesn't even make sense. It's hot as hell outside.
I'm telling you, I go to H2O Floats. You can check it out on the website too. They got an ad on there. That's a legit float. Apparently, it's like 6 feet, bro.
No, it's a legit float. Like, my mom's getting a pool built. Now, that's gonna be one of our first investments. Well, one of her first investments. I'm gonna make sure I'm in that thing because it's hot out here, and I need a pool.
And when you do, you better tell them that Guns Up Nation sent you.
Facts.
There you go. All right, so the main crux of the show today is which Texas Tech transfer are you most excited to watch play? So the criteria for this, it can be anybody on campus. We're talking men's basketball, football, baseball, whatever you want. Mine's going to kind of probably be off the wall. I think I know where Tobias will go. I'm assuming he's going to go basketball, but I could be wrong. But I'll let Tobias go first. But before we do that, Tobias, I think we need to list out some of the major transfers, especially in the major sports, that have come to Texas Tech. So in basketball, we know the big three. It's McClung, Santos Silva, and then Burton. It looks like McClung will get the waiver. Burton, probably not. But those guys will have to opt, to sit a year if they don't get the waiver. Santos Silva, grad transfer. He has 1 year of eligibility left. Football, we have Eric Monroe. We already talked about him. He has 1 year of eligibility left. We have Chadarius Townsend, a running back / wide receiver from Alabama. He's a grad transfer, but he's got 2 years of eligibility left. And then there's others as well, but those are really the big ones that stand out. Tobias, did you pick one of those 5 or did you go elsewhere?
I picked one of those 5.
Which one of the 5 did you pick?
I picked Mac McClung, and I'm going to tell you, there's more off the court than it is on. I picked Mac because, well, one, his brand is huge. He has 745,000 followers on Instagram. He has, I think, 57 on Twitter. I was actually been told, I think that, a lot of people, Tech basketball upcoming program, there's going to be a bunch of celebrities that want to come watch him play in person if he can get the waiver. So I think that what McClung will do far as his brand, that will rub off on Texas Tech basketball and the school as a whole. So I think you're going to start seeing, a bunch of heavy hitters come to Lubbock or come to wherever Tech is playing to watch him play and the team. Also, there's been a bunch of fans, a bunch of just like national attention. They've been following, the program closely, especially since he committed. So I think that his brand, players, they make brands, they make teams. I think that he will be able to help this program grow and go to that next level because, Kentucky, they have stars.
Yes.
They have some in the NBA. They have 5-star recruits every year. For your program to grow and to be successful, I think you need star power. When you have a guy like that has a bunch of national attention, I mean, even now, people like Overtime Sports, Bleacher Report, they're still posting videos of Mac McClung every day strictly because of the dunks that he's done before. That right there he's going to have crazy dunks this year. That will come to Texas Tech. That will get our school a lot more attention. So I think that you're going to see Tech this year. I think they're going to take a step up as far as, being a popularized basketball program. I think that's why I picked him.
Yeah, no, I mean, and just to talk about McClung a little more, he averaged 14.2 points, 2.8 rebounds, 2.2 assists in his 2 years at Georgetown before his season was cut short due to a foot injury. That's completely healed from everything that we've heard. But you mentioned it. He's a high flyer and a prolific dunker, but that's not all he is. A lot of people have been talking about his defense and want to. Well, I promise you, if he didn't want to play defense, he would not have come to Texas Tech. Simple and plain. That's just how that works.
Did you hear why he chose to come to Tech?
No, what was the reason?
So originally he was skeptical about coming. He didn't see his fit. Like he wasn't sure. Oh, I'm going to fit. There's a lot of guards here. He said what sold him was the Texas Tech community as far as the basketball players, the current and former players. He said all of them reached out to him personally. Culver, Zaire Smith, Tariq Owens, Mooney, Kyler Edwards, the guys on this year's team, they all were DMing him personally, texting him, calling him, adding him on Twitter. He said that's what put Tech over the top because he saw that this community is very family based. And even though despite knowing how he was fit, he felt the most comfortable being in Lubbock because of, the family atmosphere that our own staff and players presented to him. So that right there, be it he's building, you see before every game they run up and down the court arm in arm. That family, that culture that he's built, once you establish a culture like that, everything will start to fall into place and things like this happen. When you have that culture, and some of these guys are transfers. Tariq, Mooney, they were only there a year, but they bought into Beard's philosophy and that culture so quickly, and look what happened.
Yeah, no, and it helps when you have the NFL MVP at you on Twitter too.
Right. Yeah, that is a big yes, exactly. That's a big
So I kind of went off the script. I was teasing both you and Michael Tobias about who I picked for mine. See, I don't think you go wrong with any of those 5 options. I really don't. But this guy has been intriguing to me since I figured out he was coming to Texas Tech. And this guy's got probably the biggest shoes to fill out of anybody on this transfer list, right? This guy has to replace the first round pick, only the second in NFL from the NFL for Texas Tech football in terms of defense, right? Gabe Rivera was the other one. Other one was Jordan Brooks. So the guy that I'm talking about, who I'm most excited to watch this year, is Kershawn Merriweather, the inside linebacker from Garden City Community College. Guy's a stud, man. When you look at him, led the nation in tackles as a sophomore en route to garnering, National Junior College All-American second team. He also was a first-team All-Conference in the most prestigious, I might add, JUCO conference there is, which is the Jayhawk Conference, which is up there in Kansas. I know a lot of people know this one because, well, they watch Last Chance U. That's what the conference was that they played in. Over 11 games, Tobias, he had 153 tackles, 10 of them for loss and 3.5 sacks. Like, a lot of people are going to talk about Rico Jeffers, right? Understandably so. Rico's is a great player. He's a senior. I don't think people realize that Rico Jeffers is a senior.
Yeah, when you even said he's a senior, that kind of caught me off guard. I felt like he's just a young guy out there, but he is a senior. Wow.
Because he's always been behind Dakota and Jordan, or it's always been behind Jordan, right?
Yeah.
So you have to think about that. But he's a senior. That's insane. So you get a guy that literally led junior college in tackles to come in and be that guy right next to him. I think that's great. You look at Kershawn Merriweather and what he brings to the table. He had 21 tackles in a game, right? He just flies over the field, man, all around it. And he had 20 tackles in 3 different games while he was up there at Garden City Community College. So I'm really interested to see what happens there. And for those people that are wondering, well, he's a transfer, how is it going to happen right now, especially in football with all this uncertainty? Well, the big thing for Merriweather, he showed up on campus in January. So he did get a little bit of time in person there, learn the playbook, meet with Rico, meet with the linebackers coach, really get to know the scheme a little bit. And he did get a couple of practices before they inevitably shut that down, So I think when you look at Kershawn Merriweather and what he can bring to the table, I'm not saying that he's going to be Jordan Brooks. That would be ridiculous, right? Like, there's no way that happens. He's not going to be a first-round pick. But I think he could be Rico Jeffers to Rico Jeffers, if that makes sense. He could be the Robin to Rico Jeffers who has to be Batman.
Like you said, we talked about this earlier. You're gonna have guys that can tackle guys in space. Why? Spencer Rattler, the quarterback from Oklahoma State, Chuba Hubbard comes back. Yeah. Purdy. The list goes on. You're gonna have guys that can tackle in space. If this guy can play sideline to sideline, I mean, clearly he has a nose for football. He did lead the country in tackles. We need him. I can't stress that enough. We've seen what happens when Jordan Brooks got hurt, when Dakota didn't play. We saw what happened. We saw the result. I don't think you guys want to – people remember when Joe Mixon and Samaje Perine came out here, they walked to 300 yards. Perine did. He walked to 300 yards. That's what happens when you don't have the linebackers. So you need them. And like you said, Rico Jeffers being a senior, we're going to need someone after him that's going to be able to play a couple of years.
Yeah, and Merriweather's got 2 years of eligibility left. So he'll at least be here. And then you look at some of the linebackers that, are on the depth chart. It's kind of like the running back position. There's not a lot of depth there right now for Texas Tech. Running back more so. They at least got helped out by Townsend, the transfer from Alabama. But if you looked at those, they're kind of thin. And like you said, you have to have bodies that can fly sideline to sideline, not just between the numbers here. You have to have and you need guys that can drop back into coverage. Rico's shown that he can do that a little bit. He's had some flaws there, but Merriweather, if you watch his tape, he can also do that a little bit too. But he's really going to be the enforcer, and I think that's really going to help Rico out because it's going to allow Rico to really command it, and then Merriweather go in there between the tackles and just lay some wood on some runners. And that's what Texas Tech has been missing to a degree. It's just going to be interesting to see the chemistry between them, and I think Merriweather and Rico is going to be a perfect match.
Yeah. I want to see how Rico Jeffers he plays because I think another good selling point for recruits that Wells can use is that, we've had, under-recruited linebackers coming and they're getting drafted, but they're spending significant time in the NFL. I think that, we have a couple of years, to see what happens with these guys, but that could be a selling point. These guys are coming and they're getting drafted. Jordan Brooks was a first-round pick. These guys are going to the NFL and they're playing and they're staying as well. So I think that could be a selling point. He might not be the highest recruited player, but the development that Tech has shown over the last, especially in the last 3 to 4 years, has been significant at that position.
No, I think if Rico Jeffers has a big year, I don't think there's any doubt in my mind that he gets drafted. It won't be in the first round by any stretch of the imagination, but I could see him from round 5 to 7.
Yeah, I can see that.
And then Merriweather, I mean, he's just it's great to have 2 good linebackers, and then the third one, we were spoiled as Tech fans when you have Dakota Allen, Jordan Brooks, and Rico Jeffers all on one team. You knew that there was going to be 2 linebackers that you trusted on the field at all times. Well, I think you're going to have that now with Merriweather. It's just the problem of who's going to be that third linebacker because I think Rico and him are really, really going to do great things together. It's just, are we going to have a season now is really what it comes down to.
The third, I think, what's the guy? We loved him last year. He has super long arm. What's his name? He's young. He played last year. He played on the outside linebacker.
Oh, another transfer. Oh, my goodness.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
You caught me off guard. Yes, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, I think he could be the third guy.
Yeah, he had injury issues last year as well. But yeah, no, he was a transfer as well. Oh my goodness, you're gonna You're really going to do that to me right now. Oh,
Yeah,
Ingram. Was it? No, it wasn't Ingram. It wasn't Ingram.
No,
I'm trying to think who it is now. I got to go look at this now that you got there. But, yeah, Kershaw Merriweather's there. Another guy that I like, the Michigan State guy that you mentioned.
Yeah.
You know, Brandon Boyer-Randall. He's got to be in the conversation as well in terms of just, you know, getting playing time. There's a lot of good transfers on this team. You look at it, you have McPherson. I know he's your guy. You really like him. He was from Penn State. He came last year, though. You have Mannix from Nevada, right? You have Xavier White, Dodge City Community College. You have Kuntz, Ventura Community College. You're just going down the list. Thomas Leggett College. You know, he transferred in here. You know, you have another one in Taylor Knoll. He's going to be a backup quarterback, UT Permian Basin. You just keep going down the list on and on and on. And it's kind of like, wow, there's a lot of guys that transferred in here that you don't even realize. And then a guy that I totally forgot that transferred in here is Seth Collins.
Yeah. Oh, he Oregon State. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I totally forgot about him.
Xavier Benson.
Xavier Benson. Yes, there you go. Yeah. No, I mean, there's a lot of guys. You know the guy that I'm most looking forward to seeing if he's going to do anything, and he came from Utah State, Jamarius Ingram.
Yeah.
I want to see if he can – Jamarcus Ingram. I'm sorry, I mispronounced his name that first time. But Jamarcus Ingram, I want to see if he can do anything because you're looking at the secondary right now. It's probably going to go DeMarcus Fields in the nickel, I would guess, right?
Yeah.
And then maybe they move Fry out to the middle and they have DeMarcus on the outside. Maybe. I don't know. I'll say this. Go ahead.
I think they'll keep Fry on the outside. I would.
I would too, especially after his first year, right? I mean, it makes the most sense to me. So you're just looking at it, right? You have some combination wherever they're playing, McPherson, Fry, and then you have Fields. I feel pretty comfortable with those three starting corners. Now, could they get better? Obviously, but those are pretty solid corners, right? Now you have Monroe back there at the safety position. Who's going to play the other safety position, the strong safety or the free safety position, alongside him? That's where the real question arises for me, and I don't really know. You know, you're looking at this roster up and down. There's a lot of guys that you like in the positions that they're in, but I don't know who they're going to put back there at the free safety position right now.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure who they are either right now, but I mean, you said we have 3 to 4 spots locked up, and then Fields, you know, he's played a lot. He's played a bunch of times. So even if, you know, it'll be interesting to see who they do put back there. I hope they don't convert. They try to make Fry stay out there. I want him to go back to corner. They did say they were going to make him play corner this year, but I hope they stick to their word and let him stay.
I think they will, especially the impact he had as a freshman. I think they had to do it last year out of necessity. He understood that, but no, I think that's a solid, you know, secondary right there. I'm not going to go out and say it's great by any stretch of the imagination, but it does have potential, especially when you had a guy in Adrian Fry who was a second-team All-American. People forget that. He was a second-team All-American. So going to be interesting to see what they do. But, Tobias, I think that's going to do it for today's show. You got anything else, man?
No, just keep watching the TBT. I think Zach and John or Robertson may play tomorrow or Wednesday. So just keep watching that. And
thank you again. 16,000 views of the podcast on Facebook. Unbelievable stuff. Unbelievable stuff. And then be sure to go check out the new merch on gunsupnation.com. And I believe I'll go ahead and leak this. Michael said that T-shirts are coming soon. Yeah. So that'll be fun. There's going to be more than masks on the website, but be sure to go check that out. And then another huge thanks to the sponsor of today's podcast, H2O Floats. Be sure to go get your Raider Red float over at h2ofloats.com. But for Tobias Bass, you can follow him at Tobias_Bass on Twitter. I'm RC Maxfield. You can follow me at RCMB323. And be sure to go follow all the Guns Up Nation accounts now on Instagram. We're trying to get that cloud up over there. But be sure to go like and follow on Facebook and obviously follow on Twitter. We'll catch y'all next time, guys. Thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening to the Guns Up Nation podcast. The opinions expressed in this podcast are those of the fan page administrators, podcast hosts, and fans, and do not reflect the opinions of Texas Tech University or its affiliates. We are proud to support Texas Tech, its students, alumni, and fans.